Before we start the show, we have a quick, cool little announcement.
We officially changed our name to Smosh Mouth.
That's right. We did it. With a lot of hard work and determination. It's the same show, same time, same everything, but
Just a new name.
It's Smosh Mouth. So,
So,
anyways,
bye.
bye.
Boys, let's go.
Yes. Hi, I'm Shayne.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and we have a special guest, Damien Haas.
Here at the Smosh Mouth. Damien, what up?
Hey, what's up, Shayne? Happy to be here. Big fan of your stuff. Big fan of your stuff. Hey, Amanda, happy to be here.
Hey, how are you? Guys, I read the comments on the last video that we were all together, and it was like, I am your mom, and you guys are two teenage friends in the basement. So I'm going to really bring that energy, but except I'm going to have a tray of snacks.
Oh, I'm here for that.
Maybe some Bloody Mary, just for me and my friends.
I think I think that's less of a judgment on you and more the fact that Shayne and I are children, and by comparison, anybody's going to be like, wow, they're responsible.
I don't think so. I think it was a straight, I think it's me. I think it's me, guys.
No, I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you. I think maybe it's, you know what, maybe it's the duo. Maybe it's that you and I are super immature. And
Sure.
you are actually acting our age.
Yeah. I'm upstairs with my girlfriends just talking mad shit about you. God, I can't wait till he moves out.
Do you think if any of us, or do you ever experience this if you go to a different realm outside of like just being YouTubers, being in this silly world that we're in, do you feel like a little baby? Because I do feel like if I were to hang around people my age who are in the real world, as I would call it, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm a child. Yeah. What do you do? I read Reddit stories and
look at
talk
my LaCroix
shit.
wall. Hey, I got a LaCroix wall. Watch out.
Oh, so I try to not win Mario Party sometimes.
It's so true, though. Oh, my God. That's us.
I think it's also more like we're not immature so much as that we allow ourselves to be playful with each other. And like sometimes when you meet someone who's in, like, to use your words, the real world, they don't have that playfulness there. And so you'll just try to be kind of goofy and silly and in a way where you're like still mature, but you're like, wouldn't it be fun for us to talk about this thing? Wouldn't it be fun to make this joke or play a video game? And they're just looking at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, fart
Everything
machine.
hurts. Everything hurts.
Bring out the fart machine every day, and you're like, who was that? It's me with the remote. I'm like, people would probably
That's our
be like,
job.
I
yeah.
hate. It's like when I would do improv all the time, and I'd bring my boyfriend around, and he was like, I want to die. Like, people would be like, what? What? Oh my God, you're so that character. What did you say? Inside joke.
Your husband's like the most serious man, right?
He
Is he really?
he's very goofy and silly and also a gamer, but no one really gets to see that side. So he is a very serious man.
Because society would judge that. If you're a silly, goofy gamer, we get a bad rap.
Yeah, and he's also like 6'5" Belarusian, so.
Yeah.
He's a
You know what's
serious man.
really funny is the two countries that I bring up most often, just if I have to randomly name a country, is Belarus and then Turks and Caicos. And like one of the first times we met, you were like, oh, I love Turks and Caicos. I've been there so many times. I'm like, blah, 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 Belarus. And you're like, my husband is Belarus. Or you're my,
We're connected.
right?
Oh my God, we are twin flames.
It's our turn today, Amanda.
It's our turn. Bye, Shane.
Bye, baby.
Your husband plays Diablo, right?
Diablo.
That's what he's big into.
That was his big like birthday wish that we would play Diablo together.
How much did you play?
Will happen.
Okay.
You have not played Diablo yet?
No.
You're like, maybe next
His
year,
birthday
hon.
5 months ago, and I have not fulfilled his wish.
Maybe for the
I
DLC.
played once, and I watched the opening video of the guy who's like,
Oh, it's so crazy. It's creepy.
and then it's like, the new Diablo where he's like connected to this. I watched it all. I was like, this is incredible. And then he's like, you ready to play? And I was like, I'm good. Like, I watched it. I'm chilling.
Have you ever played any video games?
Yeah.
Like in
007.
007?
Grand
Soul
Theft
Hackers?
Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. Which Grand Theft Auto? Just one of them?
Probably 5.
That one, the first one.
I don't think it was the first one.
If it's any time in the last 10 years, probably number 5.
All I know is I changed the radio stations and the music was 80s.
Okay.
Oh, could be Vice City.
Vice City.
Oh, it was definitely Vice City.
Probably Vice
Wow.
City.
And I played Tony Hawk.
Oh, hell
Okay.
yeah.
I played Tony Hawk.
I played a lot of Tony
and
Hawk.
I'm seeing
me
the
and my-
similarities. These are all pretty much the same.
Yeah, my sister and I would shut up.
I see similarities. All these suck.
Listen,
Pretty mainstream.
I just was not that type of chick. I was like outside
That's
talking
fair.
to trees. you
Okay.
know?
and I can't do that.
I was a bright mind. You know, I was thinking about
okay.
the universe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it.
we were fine before. You're like,
Yeah,
I like to go
we
outside.
get
Also,
it.
I'm an intelligent person with curiosity in my
No.
heart.
The
Nothing
first half of
against
that,
gamers.
the first half of that had me because I thought it was an insult at first. We were like, "Oh, see, I was outside," and we're like, "Yeah, talking to people, socializing." You're like talking to trees. And I was like, "Okay, good. You're weirder than us.
Yeah.
You got outside, but you still failed."
I am a big weirdo. I'm a big nerd.
Hey,
You think you're a
me,
nerd?
I'm a gamer.
I think I'm a nerd.
Who do you think? Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question
Okay.
first. Who at this table do you think is the biggest nerd?
Damien.
Deadass. My God. I'm wearing a
See,
Zelda
I was like,
shirt
I
and a
earned
Final
that.
Fantasy necklace.
But what is the definition of a nerd?
Someone who falls deeply down the rabbit hole of hyperfixations that often involve pop culture or specific fandoms that maybe aren't as popular.
Okay, it's Damien.
Whatever just happened there, it's Damien.
It's Damien.
You guys answered the question? This guy's crazy.
But I also feel like you can be a nerd too.
I'm a
Shayne.
huge nerd.
You're a nerd in a different sense. I feel like you're a nerd about like TV shows and movies and things that you've just discovered, and you're like, oh my god, last night I watched this movie. I was supposed to end after last night, and you were supposed to hop on. That was me.
I don't even know what I was gonna say. I was curious what I say. Last night,
sometimes
I watched a movie. Ah!
I will say you're the most bookish person I know, probably.
Well, yeah,
or at least you talk
of
about
the
it the most,
cast.
by far.
Of the cast, I
Book
think I am
nerd.
probably the most obsessed with books. Kiana, the channel director of the Smosh Pit channel,
Loves books.
reads so many books that I now feel like I don't read that much.
Is it
She
a
reads-
competition?
It's not a competition. I'm saying by comparison, I go, oh, I thought I read a lot of books, but there's people out there like Kiana who read at least a book a week. At least, sometimes more. Wow. Their list is crazy.
Wow.
And I've met several people like that who are like, oh yeah, I read 100 books last year.
My question is like, what are you running from?
Wow.
No, because like,
Talk about judgment.
yeah, no.
I'm outside talking to trees, and you're.
That's what I'm
making-
going to start saying whenever someone has a huge accomplishment. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I just ran a marathon. I'm like, that's cool.
What are you running from? Quite
That's
literally.
a good one. Quite
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
100%.
Nerd.
No, because like I think if it was just between you and Kiana, we could get one of those like elementary school little boards where you each get like a star for each like book that you read, and every 100 pages is like another star, and you can have like a little competition.
I do have a spreadsheet. I have a Google sheet that I started.
Nerd
I started it this year to keep track because so I used to collect books. I loved like having a bookshelf full of books that I had read or that I was going to read.
You're the beast,
But
the
it
Beauty and the
starts to
Beast.
take up it. The problem was that I moved. And I realized what a pain in the ass books are to move. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of these. I don't care about a lot of these books. A lot of them I didn't love. I just was
Wow,
keeping
they
them.
have feelings.
Well, f- them.
They did when you talk to them
They were
as
like,
trees, and now he
Shayne,
pulped
remember
them.
when you as you throw them away.
Shayne, I think the ultimate power move for you is you are such a minimalist, but you do really keep track of your accomplishments in an interesting way. So, like, hence spreadsheet, and I think that's really smart. I would like to propose to you a middle ground where you do have a shelf full of things, but it's one Kindle for each book. And it's just, you can jam so many
See, I
books
couldn't.
on that shelf.
And I tried to do the Kindle thing. I couldn't.
No.
It's not as satisfying.
Yes.
I need a physical book.
Same.
Yeah.
So I had to change that up too, but I wanted to keep track because I do forget sometimes if I've read a book or not. So I need some way of knowing.
That's really nerdy.
It is nerdy.
In a great way. I think nerd gets a bad rep. I think nerd is a great word. Guys,
I do
I'm
too.
a nerd.
I think it's great. I think in the modern day, you know, we have all grown up and seen that, like, sort of the world that was promised to us, like, you're supposed to go to college and get married, then you're going to be able to buy a house, get a job, do it. Like, we're all sort of branching away from that in some capacity just because the expectations aren't there and the reality of actually being able to pursue those things isn't always there. So we find ourselves being fine with enjoying the things we grew up with. Like, if a grown-ass adult likes Pokemon. It's not like, what? It's like, oh yeah, you like Pokemon.
talking
I
about
remember.
yourself.
I did think,
But like, yeah, but
There's nothing wrong with a grown-ass adult liking Pokemon. I think.
I mean, I play video games. I stream 3 days a week, and like people are like, yeah, I have a job. I've never played Pikmin before. I'm like, well, come on down. Let me show you what it's like, and we all
Yeah.
just enjoy it together. Like,
I think it's amazing.
nerdiness is just us enjoying what we wouldn't otherwise be allowed to be
Yeah.
enjoying.
I think I'm curious if you felt the same way, but I had it in my head when I was younger that at a certain age it would just all stop. I would have to stop enjoying and doing these things. Like I loved video games, I loved cartoon shows, I loved all these things, and I was like, but at a certain age I'm going to be an adult and I'm going to have to stop. And then you just kind of keep getting older, and it just kind of stays the same, and you're like, when was
You're
that
like,
supposed
Mommy,
to happen?
can you bring me a Pop-Tart? I'm watching my cartoons. Your
They're my
girlfriend's like,
stories.
And then I shit into my diaper, and
and I thought it was going to stop, but it's still going.
it's still
Mom!
going.
This body pillow needs washing.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And I think to a certain extent there is some natural aspect of that. Like when I was a kid, I loved Pokemon so much. And then a certain generation of Pokemon came out and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this one. I don't know if I'm going to do this one. Like I'd moved on to something else and like I didn't enjoy Pokemon as much anymore. And then as an adult, it sort of recaptured my attention. But I also think that we're in this very specific generation where the media that was being made for us and adjacent generations sort of is aware of this transition that we're talking about. So like, I didn't watch cartoons as much anymore as a teenager. I mostly watched stuff like Comedy Central. But then I get to college and I turn on the TV and Adventure Time's on and I'm like, what is this? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is actually funny as hell. Is this Cartoon Network? Is this for kids? I kind of love this. And then I talked to someone about it and they were like, oh yeah, I know that show. I love that show. I'm like, boom, we're back to cartoons. Like, then you got the Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Star versus the Power
Cartoons
Force of
are
Evil.
cool
Like,
again.
it's great.
You love Pokemon so much that you sleep to Pokemon.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So it's with and Gengar and I are very in love.
Sleep with Pokemon. So now I
You
them.
slept with Pokemon. You
Yeah.
love Pokemon so much.
The ghost. No, so we were just talking about before the podcast. I downloaded Pokemon Sleep, which is the new app that tracks your sleep cycle through the guise of it being a Pokemon game. It's really not.
I was joking when I said, "Who's the biggest nerd here?" We knew.
We knew that it was
the
you.
answer. We knew it was.
But thanks
you.
for giving me the spotlight and the benefit
You're
of the
so
doubt.
welcome
You're
because I
welcome,
was
man.
trying to think of what I'm a nerd about, and there's a lot of things, but it does not compare.
We'll get to that in a second, Amanda.
You're like,
I
I'm
don't
a
know
nerd for the
about-
beach and outdoors. I'm like, I don't know if you know what a nerd is.
Oh, I love to cook and go on
You
dates
know,
with my
I
husband.
love to. No, guys, you guys make me the mom.
1 second, we need to talk about
You
Pokemon
guys
Sleep.
make me the mom.
I don't think it's.
We need to talk about Pokemon Sleep really
Let's
quick.
talk about Pokemon
Okay.
Sleep.
Okay, back to this.
Back to you.
What about it?
What's going on?
How do you sleep?
It's
How do you sleep when Pokemon is playing in your ear?
Does
So-
it play the Pokemon Center theme
Yeah,
all
so
night?
yeah, so here's the deal. Basically, it's a regular sleep tracking app. It uses your microphone to sort of test if you're just like, they're like, I hear him shuffling around. I think he's in this kind of sleep. If it's like, and then you're like, okay, he's in the middle of the deep stuff. And it'll show you like a chart of like where you were throughout the night. But also, the incentive that they give you is if you sleep more through the night and it's more quality sleep, more Pokemon show up in the morning. They're like, oh, look who came to take a nap in the morning. You have a Pikachu now because he was here napping. Isn't that neat? So it's barely a game. But the one thing about it is you can choose to have it play music while you're sleeping.
Okay.
You may not play your own music. They have one option. It's the Pokemon Center theme song of the like the do 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 do, but it's like very tinkly lullaby, like do 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 ding.
That
bing,
sounds
ding,
like my
ding.
nightmare.
It's bad. So I think they play it for like an hour and a half before they stop. And my ADHD meds were not wearing off last night. My heart was like pounding at 3 a.m. So I got 3.5 hours of sleep. So I can tell you exactly how long
What'd
they
you
play that damn
catch?
song.
Did you get any
Yeah,
Pokemon?
did you catch them all?
These hands.
It's like you get a Weedle, idiot.
Yeah. No, it was not a good night. I think I got.
Because you didn't catch
See,
anything?
that sucks that if then you're having a bad night and you don't sleep, you wake up and this app is like, sucks, man. You didn't get
You
anything
didn't
in this
get
game.
anything.
Well, different things show up, to the best of my knowledge, different things show up depending on the quality of sleep and the length of sleep. So because I tend to sleep pretty poorly when I'm on my ADHD meds, still a worthy trade-off. I'll just get like the same stuff over and over again. They're like, oh, another Caterpie. But no, I'm pretty stacked. I mean, in my little party right there, I got a Mareep.
Okay.
I got a Larvitar.
Oh,
I got a Slowpoke.
That's
Togepi. I mean,
Amanda, you get it.
I get the Larvitar for sure.
this is the one I want,
All right.
Amanda. This is all I need. She's so cute.
Oh,
That's,
she
that's,
is.
that's not Chansey, though. That's
Chansey and
Blissey
Blissey have been my
she
favorites
is
since I was a
out
kid.
in a universe that I'm not sure she's gonna walk by you. I don't know.
What does that mean?
She seems. I relate to her.
Yeah, so you wouldn't walk by me. What are you saying?
I don't want to walk by someone who's just asleep. I want to walk by someone who's awake and ready to chat and hang out.
You know what's really cool
She
about
also
this?
looks like she's flying.
She could be. You know what's really cool about this one, Amanda? This is a Pokemon. And for those of you at home, this is if you're listening to audio, this is Chansey or Blissey. This Pokemon is all about healing. It's all about friendship. If it finds an injured Pokemon in the wild, it gives them a hug and feeds them an egg until they're healed.
Are you injured?
Emotionally, yeah, always.
Okay, well, maybe Blissey can't see that. Maybe she only sees actual injured. And she's like, you know what? I need to take space for me right now, and I need to fly, and I can't give everything to these emotional beings.
I think I'd be horrified if I was injured in the woods and this round pink creature stumbles up and takes out an egg from its body. And it's like, sup, dude, you look hurt. Eat this egg. And you're like, no thanks, I'm vegan. It's just like, you're going to eat this egg.
I made it for you.
Guys,
Go
what's
on.
her voice? Because I picture that she's light and
It is, yeah.
airy.
It's like Chansey. Yeah.
Hello, it's
How's
Blissey.
it going? I'm Chansey.
Yeah, the chain smoke. It's smoked eggs. It's
All
deviled
right,
eggs.
Eat this fucking egg, dude.
That's hilarious.
All right, real quick.
It's all yolk. What's up?
Real quick, Amanda.
Yeah.
You have to be a nerd about something. I bet you are.
Isn't it Lord of the Rings? Don't you love Lord of the Rings?
I am
Do you love Lord of the
obsessed with Lord of the Rings.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, look at my ring.
Oh, Lord.
It looks very-
I don't,
Yeah.
is that
I
the
also got married
Silmarillion?
on May the 4th be with you. I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings.
Did you do that on purpose?
I did it kinda, also not kinda. There's other meanings to it.
But you were stoked when you found out it was
Yeah.
May the 4th. Okay. What?
Yeah.
All right, you got plenty of nerd
I don't know, I
stuff
think that's
going.
pretty mainstream.
I'm also really an intense film nerd. I watch the same movies over and over and over.
The Croods?
To see, not the Croods. No.
Sorry, that's an inside joke between Shayne and I. Now you know how your husband feels
Oh
when
my
you improv.
God!
Now
You
you
guys
get it.
need to get in the basement. I just came down
Gotta find
with
a
my
nickel.
martini.
Get in the basement.
I just came down with my martini to try to connect with you guys.
Um.
And God damn it.
Well, okay. Those are nerdy, and what we really wanted to talk about today, because I'm sure plenty of our viewers are watching it, and Amanda, you and I are now, for the first time in our lives, in a Dungeons & Dragons campaign on the Smosh
Hell
Games
yeah.
channel. It's been going for a few weeks now, and it's about to start going week to week. We're about to finally
Ooh,
start
yeah.
uploading
He's
episodes.
like, ooh, yeah, I'm excited for
Ooh.
that.
Yeah. We wanted to do it a little bit sooner because I had sort of run that by people, and I was like, hey, I want the hype to continue building. I've seen a lot of comments of people being like, I really want to see this a little bit more often. And I was like, I think we can do it. And I hit up Spencer, and he was like, and this was like the week before we filmed our last batch, and he was like, yeah, totally. Can you have 3 episodes ready on Wednesday? And I was like,
It's Monday.
yeah, I was like, I have 2 in the pocket. I don't think I can. I don't know. No. So we're gonna start that next time.
I can't wait because Damien and I have chatted about this. I have always been I don't know if it's a secret nerd, but when I started playing D&D, I was like,
It's just improv.
I literally felt my heart explode. I was like, oh my God, elves, improv, the forest,
Yeah.
hanging out with my friends. I was like, this is what I've been born to
You
do.
really do get,
I love
you
it.
do
You're
get
killing
lost
it.
in it. And my
I do.
favorite thing, and I don't know if it makes it into the episodes, is when you get lost and you start telling the whole story for a second.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's actually really fun.
Sure, Damien loves that.
Well, here's the thing.
I'll
I don't.
literally go deep into the story, and I'm like, and then gas, falls out, and then all the trees, and then he's like, well, hold on.
So
Hold on.
That's the difficult thing, Amanda, because
That's me.
as your friend and as someone who's enjoying playing with you, I love that, and I will take that over the alternative because you want to give so much and you're seeing so much and you want to help tell the story. The difficult thing is
You're like, it's not your job,
Well, we do have
babe.
the roles of who has to tell what. So you can say whatever you want about yourself, but you would do this thing where you're like, I hit the guy and you, Shayne, are looking at me in shock. And this other guy's like, you can't get past here. And I was like, I will. And he's like, no.
And then
he hits
the
me and he
earth
misses.
crumbles.
And,
And
yeah.
the stars explode.
I'm just flipping through my sheets
I know.
so the gate man has a quest for you,
I
actually.
know. I know. I literally get so deep, and
I love it.
You guys just become the creatures, and then I'm like, and then I'm like, oh my God, Amanda, you are not outside. You are not with the trees. You are here on camera with
so
adults,
great.
and you are not the dungeon master. Okay, you're Dolores.
But that's okay too.
But I don't want to be the dungeon master. I just get so carried away because I see all these little things happening in my imagination, and then I nerd out.
Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of being the dungeon master, like I never thought I would have that role. Like I was very nervous, and I still have like a lot of imposter syndrome with that because I have so many friends. Like it wasn't until recently that I like really sat down and thought about it. And I was like, oh wait, I've been playing D&D since middle school. Like
Wow.
I have nothing to like be.
Damn.
I have nothing to be like embarrassed about in terms of like, oh, I'm not,
No.
I'm not worthy. But people care so much about, this fandom and in this space that like I just want to give it the respect it's due. And I have so many friends who are like, I'm a DM and I have crafted a world. Like, come pop by my game. You don't have to know all this stuff, but here's a 50-page document of the world I made.
Wow.
With all the gods and the lands and the different factions and the different planets. And it's like all these amazing things. And I see how much respect goes into it that I was just like, I was flipping terrified. And even now, we're filming this right before I go to Gen Con, which is a board game convention. And before Sword AF was even announced, I was signed on to be a guest for like 5 or 6 live D&D shows at this convention.
Oh, fun.
And I really can't wait, and I'm so excited. I'm building out my characters now for these games. But like, even then, I'm nervous because so many people there are like, there are people who literally work like for D&D that are going to be in these games, and people who are like, hey, we're playing, from this D&D book that I wrote that's been published. Like, I'm just like,
Just
ooh.
remember us, okay? Just remember Dolores. Just remember Fernie. Just remember our faces being like, DM, we love you.
Yeah,
you know what I
thank you.
mean?
Y'all are
we're
so supportive.
in you, we believe in you, Damien.
You got this. Wow. And they're like, Damien, it's been your turn for 10 minutes. I was like,
Drooling onto the table.
just like, Amanda and Shayne. No,
yeah.
y'all have been super supportive.
It has
Thank
to be.
you.
That's why, like, I feel like it's scary also to be a nerd too, because you feel like it's so inclusive. Like people are like, well, we're bigger nerds than you, and it's like, can't we all just be nerds?
I think there is this interesting like dichotomy when it comes to nerddom because there are the people out there who want to accept and invite everybody in. Like, I'm super down. Like, if someone's like, I've only played one Pokemon game, I'm like, you love Pokemon, that's great. Like, or I don't know Fire Emblem, I've only played like a couple rounds. I'm like, enjoy it. You love your thing, that's fine. But like, I think some people who grew up during the time of like nerdiness being an extremely bad thing, they
Wear it
only
as
found
honor.
solace. What's that?
They wear it as honor.
They wear it as honor. They only found
Protection.
solace in those things. They're like, this is my thing. And then when they see someone who they would, traditionally consider mainstream enjoying it, they're just like, no, like this is what separates me now. And,
I get that. I do get that.
but
I totally understand.
I don't love the way they take it out on
But
people,
I still
though.
want to play D&D.
You should. No one should ever get. I've even heard like the reception to our show was so phenomenal when it first came out, and I'd heard rumblings of some like other people in the space being like, what's D&D for that? It's a cash grab or something like that, and I was just like, whatever, man. Like, what can I do?
Yeah, it has been literally overwhelmingly positive. I saw like literally it's a handful of comments compared
Out of
to
thousands
of everyone being so stoked, and it's been so cool. But I did see some being like, yeah, do they have experience? They don't seem to be experienced. And my thought and what I would want to communicate to people is like, I've wanted to play D&D for a long time. I've talked to you about wanting to play it for so long, and I've just never had the opportunity because I've never had the right never really had the time or the space or the right circumstances outside of here to do it. So honestly, playing it here in this format is the only way right now in my life where I could play it. And honestly, when I hear about people playing it outside of here, the stories that I hear the most are about how hard it is to organize it and to consistently do it.
I've missed 2 months in a row of my personal game, and
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, in fact, Chance is the only person I've ever heard of who has a consistent game going where they legitimately do it. Like Chance has been playing D&D for years, and he's like, "Yeah, we meet every week."
See, I
I'm
love
like,
that.
Damn.
I never thought D&D would ever be in the reach for me. Ever.
so glad it is.
I literally D&D in my mind was like a little like room where the doors are shut and they're like, no girls allowed. And they're just like playing with their things, and I had to be like, hey, and they're like, shut up. And I'm like, what? That's how I always saw D&D, as like this closed in. And then when I tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm playing D&D, they're like, funny, hilarious.
Really?
They're not upset, but they're just like, no, you're not. And
That's
I'm like,
such a shame.
well, yeah, I am. And my name is Dolores Paradise, which if you ever knew a little thing about Dolores Paradise. That was my old piano teacher's name.
Really?
What?
That was my old piano teacher's name.
Is the character similar to this piano teacher?
No.
She was old and horny.
No, she.
Thick thighs, always.
Yeah. Did backflips.
Kinda, a little bit. I loved her so much, but she had really rigid boundaries. Like, she wasn't like a hugger, but she had big, curly black hair, big skirt, tons of rings, and she smelled like patchouli, like 100%
that deal
patchouli.
breaker.
And I saw when I was bartending, there was this girl who popped up to the bar, and I was like, and I got like my piano teacher, and I went up to her and was like, "You smell like my piano teacher." And
You
she
smell
was
like my old horny piano teacher.
What do I
she
do
was
with
like, "Thanks, I guess." And I was like, "Amanda, shut up."
What do you want me to
Shut
say?
up.
What do you think I should say to you now?
No,
Like,
literally, I say the stupidest shit.
it's fine.
And I'm like, "You smell like my piano teacher." No, it's a good thing. Ask me what are you wearing? She was like, "Patchouli." I was like, "That's totally my piano teacher." She's like an older, wonderful woman.
gross, stinky.
No, she was the best woman ever. And
Well, that's sweet.
this is like an homage to her.
Oh, that's
that.
really great.
Yeah,
That's
she-
very special.
She was amazing.
It is funny, going back, like, the people's reactions. It is strange what I thought D&D was going to be and what I've assumed it is. And I know a lot about it, and I've watched plenty of Dimension 20, and so I knew what it was eventually. But so many people I talk to who aren't in the space, it has such a weird reputation.
Yeah.
That people assume that it's the most hardcore, in-depth, technical thing when it's been so much simpler than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's dice and I have a sheet with my character and his stats.
Yeah.
That's it. We were playing Betrayal Legacy before we got into D&D, and that is the most complicated game I've probably ever played in my life.
Everybody
Very much
knows
so.
that I struggled with that game.
That
But I
game
think
was so
everybody
hard.
did. I think it was
So hard.
And I want to applaud both of y'all for getting through it, because it's sort of what opened the door to letting both the audience and the higher ups know that we can do a longer series and have people buy into it. If it's character based on games. But I also want to say about your experience there. I'm sorry to hear that that's, sort of how things have been viewed in the past. And because I think that's historically how D&D has been a lot of the times for a lot of people. But I also think that, like, D&D can be whatever you want it to be. Like, the level
Right.
of intensity that you're describing and that you're describing is a thing. Like, there are a
Yeah.
lot of people who are like, hey, we're going to do this by the book. You have to think about how much weight you're carrying that's going to affect things.
I think that's great, though.
And
That's
yeah,
fun.
for those people, that's awesome.
Yep.
For me, that sounds a little bit much, and it's a little bit hard to get people in there, because I think one of the best things you can bring into D&D, even as a complete beginner, is like improv experience is golden. Like, you can make this a slightly structured improv game and have it be fantastic. And you two are both, our whole cast is so good at this.
I love
And
our improv so deeply.
It's so episodes 3 and 4 at the time of filming this are about to go up, and that was our last batch that we filmed right before the show actually premiered. So everything beyond that is us learning from things, and even more than that, I'm like, for 5 and 6, I wanted to give y'all opportunities to just talk to each other and improv and grow your characters. And I've had so many people, even people who work as professionals for like major D&D companies that are like friends of mine, say like, I can't believe it's most of their first time. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, the level at which y'all are playing and telling stories is just so high because you're just having fun.
That's
I
awesome.
guess it's just because of all the other stuff that we do and have done here at
Yeah.
Smosh has really lent to it.
Yeah.
You don't know the numbers and the spells, but everything else that D&D is, you bring in plenty of experience.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is like, we had Betrayal Legacy, we worked out a lot of kinks, and we also played off of each other. And I do think the improv allows us to just like open the door and be like so silly with each other. And we're discovering our characters even more by playing the improv, like Dolores and Bug and Fernie, like Coda and Dolores. Like, we're all having these like really cool back and forths. And Fernie is just...
And I'm just there, hanging out.
Fernie just comes in
doing
and
my
says what's
thing.
going on, the obvious, and then busts through a wall.
I love it.
I'm curious what episode, because we're recording this podcast a couple weeks in the past from when you are watching it.
So episode 3 is going up in 2 days.
But
so.
I think by the time this episode comes out, we
They'll
might
all
be
be out.
I don't know about all of them. I don't know,
episode
but for those watching, a lot's happening, and or a lot is about to happen in D&D, and it's getting to a really exciting place. You've obviously, and I know this because we do get into your backstory in these episodes that we have. Did you ponder on your character's backstory a lot?
Yeah.
Is there any that you rejected? Or I like to think of sometimes just really stupid shit for my character. Just ways to ruin this whole campaign, if you will.
Haven't done it yet. Haven't done it yet.
I mean, to be honest, like, I don't think I realized how horny Dolores was. I think that was a discovery, but I was kind of thinking of, I did have a backstory that I was thinking about. I think less that I chatted with you about, but like, I was kind of going on the Mean Girls stepmom vibe, where it's like she's been cheated on and she's out for revenge. And it was more going to be like that, like rich woman stepmom, kind of like chip on her shoulder, but then she finds herself. And I was like, I'm not going down that road.
Sure.
But the horniness, I guess that little part stayed with me because I literally was talking and all of the fan art is like Dolores in horny jail. And I'm like, what did I do? Is that okay?
That half of that I'll take blame for because I think we yes-anded each other really hard right there. Where like you met Gunthar and I was like, Gunthar, like tall, rippling, like tan skin, abs, long black hair, and you went, you did that. You did that thing. And so I was just like, oh, this is funny. We're gonna play off this a little bit. He's gonna be oblivious and you're gonna be super interested. And then I was just like, well, what if you are presented with someone who's super interested, but they're like a frog person? And so I'm just like, this will be fun to sort of throw at you and be like, where your actual interests lie.
Yeah, I loved that because like that's now I've taken all the backstories that I kind of didn't go with and I've taken little pieces from them and then figured out my backstory. But I definitely had some like weird like 90s movie like stepmom. I'm like, what now?
But like you have to throw as much out there as possible to see what sticks. And like, pretty early on I had met with everybody to just solidify their characters and I didn't want to like inundate anyone with anything too fast, but there was like basic, like start thinking about your background. Like we're not gonna in the first couple episodes be like, this is me and this is my dark past and this is all I did. But like as we continued on, like for this last batch, I sent specific not like coach, I guess kind of like coaching emails to everybody being like, all right, so this is who you are as like a background. Like you are a warforged. What does that mean for you? How do you fit into the world? What does that mean for the way you interact with things? Like how are you different? Okay, well you're a warlock. So what does that mean? How does a warlock get their powers? And what does that mean for your beliefs?
Thick thighs.
Thick thighs, dummy thick thighs. So, I was like, hey, you're also a halfling, which is, they don't ever want to see anyone come under harm. So how does A go to B? And, I'd maybe toss a couple ideas at you toss a couple ideas back, we'd work out something. I'd be like, you need a demonic patron of some kind, the thing that gave you your powers. Let's work out what this means. And, you ended up, we tried to come up with a name. You came up with one that has meaning to you. I adjusted it a bit. And then we're like, all right, this is what it is. And, and for you too, like we were sitting at the desk and like tossing ideas back and forth. And it's like, what if this means that? Oh, what if this is tied to this? And slowly but surely we build it together. And y'all, I'm just sort of like, boop, 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 doing little scoots. And y'all are making this stuff really meaningful for yourself.
But you must have had a backstory that was dumb.
He did.
Yeah. So Fernie is a giant wooden robot. So what if maybe his dad was a pine tree and his mom was an Amazon Alexa, and that's how that all happened.
How did they hook up? Did she plug in?
I don't know.
To his roots?
Must have plugged into his roots. Yeah. Something funny that I've noticed because I see fan art of our characters, which has actually been the coolest thing for me. And I've always appreciated and thought it's cool when people make fan art of like us as people. But something about characters that we created, getting fan art is so amazing, flattering and fun. But I love seeing fan art of our characters, and then I see fan art of other Dungeons and Dragons shows on YouTube. And everyone else's are like really hot, sexy,
like ripped,
tall, like they're all like over 6 foot, slender, hot people. And then us is like a goblin, a weird robot, and
I'm like horny Dolores with her two braids, like apples.
And then Chance's character fits.
Yeah, I was like, bless Chance.
And then Chance's character's hot as.
Chance's character for me is like that's sort of the point of Chance's character, at least from a story, perspective, where he is the traditional D&D character. Like, he has his moments of goofiness where he, fits in with y'all, but like, he's the handsome young Eladrin elf person of the Feywilds.
We need that.
We absolutely, and he's experienced enough to do it. And I actually talked to him before this last batch, and I like explained that to him. I'm like, hey, I've been focusing a little bit more on the newer people because I've been needing your help to carry things on in like a D&D perspective. Now it's your time to shine. So we have a couple moments in these like next episodes that I'm like, we're really focusing on Coda. But like, he's fully aware of that, and it's really great. And I think sorry.
No, go on.
I was gonna say, I think going back to the fan art thing, like, my biggest moments of pride are like, you've been doing this for a long time, Shayne, just in the Smosh realm. And obviously it's special when people acknowledge you in any way, but a lot of people do things for the Chosen and the Dumpster Wizard and yourself and any character you play. And so seeing, specifically your Amanda and like, Angela's and Chance's reactions to seeing their characters get so much fan art and love, and like, Bug is getting a lot of love from the audience too. Like, seeing that joy makes me so proud.
I
so
love
happy.
it so much. I also love the animated like little videos of what we said back and forth, and they animated it.
Yeah,
I was like,
so cool.
Fernie and Angela's character Bug have an interaction in one of the episodes that we shot recently that I don't know if it's out yet. If it is, the interaction I'm talking about.
Oh,
and I'm extremely excited to see
that won't be out. That won't be out yet, I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, then there's a moment coming.
Yeah.
and it's so funny because there's so many other things that are going on that's like really serious. If I'm thinking about the same moment, that it's just like, I feel like naturally we find the seriousness of the episode mixed in with like the silly, ridiculous
You've
stuff.
got to, yeah.
Where I still catch that I'm like, I'm still new to this is when we get into lore, and specifically when you and Chance will have moments. You had a moment, and it's such a great moment. I was still very enticed and very captivated. But you get very deep into like the lore of like Chance's character and like the Eladrin and all this stuff, and you're talking about all these things, and I'm like, that's awesome. I have no idea what that means.
See, that's also
I
not.
still understood the stakes.
That's not the world that we described for that is something that is Chance and I worked on together, but a lot of it comes from a character that he's playing in his main campaign and sort of how things are set up there. So we bounced ideas back and forth, but the world that he's sort of from is not.
So that's you
from
guys.
the D&D
You
books.
guys
I
created
think
that
that's
yourselves.
just them made. Yeah, they made up that.
That's
just how
really
we made
cool.
your god, just how we are making all your different circumstances. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
The thing is, if we try to nail what things are supposed to be, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just not going to do it.
Of course.
That's too much stress for me. Like, I want to have fun too, So I'm like, this would be fun. It sounds like it works in the world.
You know what I'm very curious about? And I could just easily look, but I'm always curious what's behind. I've still never seen like what's behind the board, the DM, your fortress.
Ooh.
I'm always so curious what that
peek.
looks like. I don't know why I haven't.
I peek because you're too
I
far
saw
away.
you peeking.
can't-
I saw you. The last time we
Shut
were
up.
playing, you were there, and I just see Amanda like this,
Yeah. Sometimes Angela.
just looking.
Because I wanted to see what the creature was, and he was trying to describe it, and I was like, yeah, it's right there.
Someone did link me something on TikTok where there is a DM screen that has space for a tablet in front, so you can just be like, "This is a beast thing," and you press the button, and like, there, all of a sudden, the rest of your
It's
players
just
can see
Jarvis.
it.
It's like Iron
Just-
Man's.
Exactly.
I
helmet
wish
on the
we could
inside.
see the beast because when you were describing that one of the
Cockatrice.
beasts, a
Cockatrice,
cockatrice, I was like, oh.
Spoiler alert: there's a cockatrice
God
coming.
damn. No,
I was like, oh shit, that looks so cool. And then I was like, oh my god, Amanda, like it's just so hard for me. You know when you play like card games and you have to
My
look
eyes
over.
do naturally wander
Oh, for
over. I will
sure.
say Angela sometimes peeks back at y'all, which is nice, but usually she's pretty locked in on the game screen. It's just like,
I look at Angela.
Sometimes Angela participates. In
This
the
is
game.
Angela.
It's so funny.
Yeah. So Bug. So Bug.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know why that's my Angela impression.
So
It's 'cause it's-
so Bug does this thing where he's like, and then Bug, and that's what Angela does. I
I
watched
love
the
it.
whole
She's
world.
so animated.
Little Italian goblin.
Yeah. Yeah. You can say it.
Yeah.
She's a little Italian.
I allow it. You get it the pass.
But that's why she's
Her character
so
is Joe
good.
Pesci.
In the Eat It or Eat It episode when she was Joe Pesci, I was like, you're literally Joe Pesci
Yeah.
right now. And
think
Garrett
you
was
are
like,
Joe Pesci.
it's Italian. I was like, Garrett.
I learned this recently. I think it's been in some videos. Angela does a very good Christopher Walken impression.
I saw
Does she
that.
really?
Very good.
That's hard to do because that's one of those that everyone's like, oh, I can do a Christopher Walken. I can do
I can do Christopher Walken.
I can
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. I can do
Wait,
Jar Jar Binks.
I was with you when she did that, and you were like, oh, shit.
Damn, really solid.
Angela is incredible.
She's psycho. Full on psycho.
We love her.
Psycho, that is incredible.
Amanda.
Yes.
We've filmed a few episodes of D&D at this point. Do you think you could ever, and you do you think you could ever be a dungeon master?
Yeah.
You think so?
I feel like I would, but here's how I would want to do it, as I would want to like stop, because I swear I have like 4 jobs right now. I'd want to stop a lot of things so I could literally hone in on it and get so intense about it. Like, I feel like I would be so intense about it. Like, that's why I love that some DMs, you know, including yourself, is like really intense about like the roles and everything specific. And you said the weight or something like that.
Oh yeah, they call it encumbrance.
Something like that. Like when I watch Critical Role, I'm like, there's a part of me that's like envious of that dude. I'm like, I kind of love that.
You know what you should do?
What?
Well, no. I want to hear your pitch first. Or what were you going to say first?
I was just gonna say, I think especially being in a space where we're doing this in a performative way, not just for us.
Yeah.
You know, we're putting out this content for people. My main goal is for it to be authentic in terms of what are we enjoying and going to have fun with.
Yeah.
So I love, you know, hyperfixating on things, falling down the rabbit hole of learning everything about a subject. But I was like, we mostly as a group haven't earned that yet.
Yeah.
You know, like if I show up and try to drop all this lore on y'all and like all these numbers, I'm going to lose you, I'm going to lose the audience. And it's frankly just more fun for me to just do it. I think down the road when we just become hyper into this and our audience is like on board, you know, we've done a few seasons of whatever this ends up being, and you know, we decide to do one really intense one, we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I love where we're at. And I feel like I would have so much fun like playing with the people, but there's a part of me that's like, if I were to be a DM, I would want to stop everything and like live, eat, breathe, sleep DM. Like, is there like a DM like sleeping thing that I can put on that's not Pokemon? I don't know what the music
D20
would
showed
be.
up while I slept.
And I'm just like rolling in my sleep, like D20, like what?
Dude, that's another thing too.
I might get obsessed.
You should be a dice goblin.
A dice goblin?
What is that?
So you buy yourself one set of dice and you're like, these are really nice dice. I like this. Then a little bit later you're like, well, my character kind of went through some changes and I don't feel like this represents her anymore. I need some more dice. And then all of a sudden, you just have a bunch of dice.
Oh God.
You have so many dice, Amanda. And
I do love dice.
I do too.
They're gorgeous.
Dice are incredible looking.
I found some incredible ones the other day and they're like $65 for a set. And I was like, I can't justify this right now. Like I'm just not gonna do it.
Well, when we went to RTX, there were dice that smelled amazing.
What?
They smelled
did
like
smell. They had
cinnamon.
smelly
You're gonna
dice.
cover it up with Dorito dust real quick.
Real question. I have
You
a
were gonna say
question
something, yeah,
for you
sorry.
guys. This wasn't the question I was going to ask earlier. I'm going to get to that in a second.
Damn.
First,
Great.
real question.
Great.
How much trouble would I be in if I rolled a D20 at a craps table in Vegas? And what are my odds?
Honestly.
They'd probably be fine with it because I would just roll a 20 and they'd be like, all right, you give us all your money. And
Yeah, right?
You're never coming back to the Bellagio again.
Is that if The Chosen went to Vegas and was
Oh,
like, I'm
yeah.
gonna bet some money.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, and then he rolls a D20. He's like, shoot, that's not what I wanted.
Shit.
And your mom's like, honey, we have to go.
It's time for roulette. I brought my lucky marbles. He throws all of them
Crazy
out there.
Bones. He just has Crazy
Crazy
Bones. He's
I
like,
love that.
Crazy Bones.
Oh yeah, literally. Yeah, roll the
Why am I
bones.
Jennifer
I
Coolidge?
like
I
your
don't- I
My
like it,
Chosen
though.
is-
Don't know.
Amanda, what would it be like if the Chosen brought Yu-Gi-Oh cards to the blackjack table? Go on.
Totally. So Yu-Gi-Oh cards is this fun thing about Yogi Masters, and they have a cool alternative world, and they live near Mars, but it's like a little pocket of Mars, and they fight with fingers and swords.
I was just setting you up to do the voice again. But that's okay.
Oh,
There are
chosen.
Yu-Gi-Oh makes Dungeons and Dragons look like football to me. Like Yu-Gi-Oh,
I don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh is.
Yu-Gi-Oh is so much nerdier.
It's like a Pokemon card game, basically.
And I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid.
Same.
But when we tried to play it, recently, like a
completely
year or
different.
so ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, this has gotten so nuts
Well,
that I have no idea what's going on.
They had to change the very nature of the game to get it to work, right? Because I don't know why, but I literally thought of this morning. I think I was on like a Yu-Gi-Oh TikTok or something. But like the strongest card in the game, pretty much, or like one of the most accessible and strong cards in the game, they released it in that first set. It's Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's like this big, strong dragon thing. And it's not too hard to get out on the field, and it does really well. And then every set they released after that had a cool new card that came out. It was like, whoa, this is the rare one for this batch. And it wouldn't be better than Blue Eyes White Dragon. So I'm like, yeah, how do you get people to buy new cards? Like, who cares? And so eventually they just changed up the rules of the game where like it just works in a completely different way. I'm like, oh, that's how. Because we're all just doing crazy bananas bonkers
See,
stuff.
maybe I can't be a DM because I
No, that's
I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
went
You're
into
fine.
I went into like a whole. Would you be a DM?
I think I would love to do it.
I think
Now
Ooh.
I
You'd
am
love to do it.
intimidated by a lot of the technicalities of it. I see, but I love telling stories. I love creating worlds in my head.
Yeah.
A pitch for you, but I want to hear what you would want to. What would your story want to be? I think it'd be so fun to do one that's super grounded, like just a real life rules. Like the magic is very like finding the real world equivalent of the magic. Like
There is the Kids on Bikes play system where it is
where you kind of find the real world equivalent, where there's magical influences in the world. But imagine a small town murder mystery with like slight elements of magic in it.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That is like
that'd
my
be so
totally do that.
my literal dream is to like I watched Black Mirror, right? The recent Black Mirror of the paparazzi. I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's like it's very very grounded until the end. There's supernatural.
Cool.
Sorry, that is kind of a spoiler.
I'm never
My bad.
gonna watch it.
Whatever.
Now. You've
But
ruined it.
I would love to be a DM in like a Sarah Christ world because I think that would be so fun. There's like things going on. There's this show that I'm obsessed with. It's called Black Spot. It's French and it's on Netflix. And I'm obsessed with it. They only had 2
about a mime,
seasons.
okay?
It's literally
But he chain smokes, right?
And that's it. It's silent. It's black and white. He never says anything.
No.
Nothing happens.
It's literally a detective like story, like everything I love about a female detective. But there is a horned god that lives in the forest that is taking people. So there's magic and detective. So literally you touched on everything I love. I would love to be a DM in that world where there's like people have magic powers, but it's like there's like secrets in the town. It's more about
very Neil
secrets in the
Gaiman.
town that's like grounded. What's that?
Did you ever read anything by Neil Gaiman?
No.
He's like my favorite author, but everything he does is like, I would almost call it like magical realism, where like there's most of the stuff is grounded, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, here, follow me, and he walks through the store, and it's like, I don't remember there being a door there, and there's almost this moment of like, ooh, you would love American Gods, actually. That would be your book
You should watch. Have you not watched Sandman on Netflix?
I have.
Sandman's
Neil Gaiman.
incredible.
I have. I thought it was a little too ethereal, slow.
Then read
for
American Gods,
me.
trust
I was
me.
like,
Oh,
okay.
I love Sandman.
I do too.
loved it so much.
It
He
was-
walks out looking insane. He's like, I'm the Sandman.
That's Jon Snow.
Dude, when he walks out and every scene with Sandman where he's talking, he's like, I found that I was, and they're like, what?
Yeah, that's
What are you saying, man? You want to know? I need to find my helmet. Dude!
That was my form
What
of
do you
sleep
think?
app.
that
where
was
he's just
so
whispering
that was
at
so
you.
good. That's how I felt like when I was watching it. I was just like, okay, let's pick the pace.
It's a great
up.
graphic novel, though, too. One of my mods for my Twitch streams, I ended up working with him and was very sweetly did this, knows that I'm like a huge fan of Neil Gaiman. So they reached out to his office and was like, hey, do you have any stuff you could give? And so I have an actual autographed print from the Sandman where it's of Death, the Sandman's sister.
Yeah.
And
Played
that's
by-
that's like my favorite character. Well, it's the illustration from the
got
graphic
it.
novel, but the actress does an incredible job.
Isn't it
in
the woman
show.
from Game of Thrones?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't. No. You're thinking of Lucifer, played by
Oh, Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn
Yes,
Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. We're the same height, probably.
She's pretty
Nice.
tall.
Actually, no. I think she's like 6'5".
I always say you're the Brienne of Tarth of Smosh games.
Oh. I don't want to be her.
So much
She's
for
like
being
the
the
best
mom
character.
of this
I don't want
podcast.
to be her.
What do you want to be, Amanda? You don't want to be the mom. You don't want to be Brianna
Yes,
Tavares.
come on. Just
Guys,
do
I want to be
something.
many different things, but I don't want to be her because all she does is like she stands by her ground and then she falls. You know, falls in love with the Nikolai
show.
guy.
That's
and
from the show.
whatever, man.
The books are better.
I don't know who I want to be.
You guys talk about reading so much. Here's a book for you.
Tell me.
Read American Gods.
Okay, I'll read American
You'll
Gods.
like it.
If you guys watch Black Spot on Netflix.
Okay, sure. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
I'll tell you all about it.
No, you won't. It's French.
So it's this French movie. She's a mime, but there's a demon.
And she chain smokes.
She chain smokes. She is one of the two chain smokers, but you have to guess which one.
I would love to see a mime chain smoking.
I go to France.
Say that.
I think you
I'm
could
like-
go to
like, I think you could just do that at any
hey,
time.
if you really want to see a mime chain smoke, I've got good news for
Yeah.
you.
Are you
can
sitting
go
down?
to
Well,
France
stand the
Great.
up and walk to
tomorrow.
France.
Great.
Not today. I had a dumb question that I had thought of before this.
Love it.
So back to D&D.
Mm.
So our characters, you have like a sheet. For anyone who's not played D&D, you have a sheet and it has all your stats. It's like wisdom, intelligence, strength, perception.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think our stats are in real life?
Mm.
Do you ever think this way? Because I've talked to you about this in the past. How sometimes, and I'm pointing, for those of you not watching, I'm pointing at Damien.
Directly like
Directly.
that.
My finger's getting very close
This
to his
is an
face.
intervention.
I am making contact
Like,
with his
you
nose.
don't do
and
enough
I'm
substances.
Booping his nose. I do sometimes think about this stuff. It's a very nerdy thing that I do. I'm like, what are my stats? What would the numbers
Ooh.
what would the
While you're-
numbers be?
While you're pondering that, may I give the tomato test to the audience?
The tomato test?
Yeah.
Tomato?
Yeah. So when people don't know the stats, this is how it's described. And I always get this wrong in some capacity, but here's how you know what the stats are.
Do you like tomatoes?
Do you like tomatoes? Or any nightshades,
Yes,
really?
I do in summer.
Okay, so the tomato test is strength, how far you can throw a tomato. Dexterity, how accurately you can throw a tomato.
Oh.
Intelligence, knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom, knowing that it doesn't belong in a fruit salad. Charisma, selling someone a tomato or convincing them that it's an apple. And then what's the last one?
Nature?
Greg, what's the last one?
Arcane?
Nope, that was 5, right? There should be 6. Dexterity.
That's our God.
It's 5? It's only 5 stats?
Wow.
Wow, I'm the dumbest man I know.
So
no,
much for being a DM.
Sorry about
Pretty
that.
cool. I'll take over from here.
I did Constitution. Thank you.
But there's also tons of smaller subcategories like arcane and everything.
Yeah.
That also you could count.
So those are like proficiencies,
Sure.
where it's like what your character's into, but stats are just basically who you are as a person. So let's think about that.
Stats in real life.
Yeah.
Intelligence, Constitution, Wisdom, Charisma, Dexterity, Strength. I did do 6.
want
That's so
people-
weird. Oh, Constitution
Constitution.
is can you eat a rotten tomato and still be fine?
Got it.
Can you?
Kind of like, yeah. I want to throw this. Let's ponder this and talk about it. But I also want people in the comments to put what they think our stats are.
Okay.
Like,
I'm very curious.
are you
what people-
changing our stats, or are you giving us numbers for those, specifically for us?
Yeah, as people.
Like
if we had to make a sheet
charisma.
for Amanda.
Oh.
Like what are your stats in real life? What categories are like? Okay, that would be where I'd excel.
What's
in.
the highest number that I
So,
can give
it's
for
not-
a stat?
I don't know.
Something-
It's
Something that would be pretty bad where you're actually like negatively impacted would be like an 8. That's as low as it'll go. If you happen to really like max yourself out and get yourself some really smart playing with your stats, you can get some up to 17, but that's pretty rare. So like, you know,
We don't have to do the exact numbers. I'm just saying where do you think? Like,
If we do 1
I
through
would
10,
excel here, and here.
I would say that you would excel, Shayne,
Okay.
at charisma.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if I feel that that's where my character would.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. And look, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Strength.
yeah, I'd put your strength at about like 14 or 15,
think
where you're like really strong,
yeah.
but you're not like about to lift a truck.
I think Constitution it might be a little bit low. Like I feel like you'd probably eat a rotten tomato.
I don't know, see, I think I could handle.
You
I can handle shit.
Shayne, you can smell a beer and then fall down.
See,
I'm sorry. I love you to
is the
death, but the
thing.
Constitution's low. Like,
is
is that
the
hops?
thing. This is the thing. We don't like. This is how I see you.
Yeah.
I think
That's fair. That's That's fair.
What's the other one? Dexterity?
So we got dexterity, which is like accuracy, being nimble and dodgy. Intelligence is
Low.
smarts. Wisdom is street smarts. Charisma is...
Damn.
Low. Intelligence, it's medium.
I'd say medium high.
You know what? This is just bad.
What? Tell you
I'm
what,
gonna go
Shayne.
back upstairs with my friends, and we're gonna
Intelligence, medium.
just finish our martinis, and you boys have fun because I just can't. anymore.
Elizabeth hasn't seen
Wow.
White Lotus. So we're
Amanda,
gonna...
I was gonna say you would excel at all of them. And
Really?
Yeah,
No,
why don't you
weren't.
go? You're
No,
putting
you
the onus on
weren't.
us.
Okay.
Being
like, yeah,
I
judge
was
me.
thinking more of us doing it for ourselves.
Okay, shit.
But
Oh, shit.
that's okay.
No, let's do that.
No,
What do you
that's
think?
also okay.
I
No,
think-
no,
No, I
no,
actually
no,
like
I
that.
actually had a thought because I wanted to say this about
Okay.
both of you. I
Okay.
feel like, Amanda, I think you would rely more on wisdom. I'm not saying
I
you
would
don't
say you
have
have high
intelligence,
wisdom.
but I
I'll
think
say it. No, you don't. But very wise.
Thank you.
I think you would choose to follow your wisdom over your intelligence. And
Definitely.
Damien, I would say the flip side of that. I think you're
Definitely.
you have wisdom, but I think you tend to use your logic. You would choose to use your
Yes.
logic in situation
Interesting.
as opposed to
Yes.
wisdom in most situations.
Yes.
And I think I'd maybe fall in between,
I-
like where my
That's why I
stats are
said
kinda equal.
medium.
Yeah,
I know you. I also said charisma, and you didn't think so.
I don't think I would have. I think you would have the highest charisma of us three.
So in
Yeah.
how I explained it before and what charisma generally is, I'd say you have high charisma. But I think in terms of D&D stuff, that also involves things like deception and intimidation and stuff like that. Just working
bad
with
at
people.
that.
And I think while you would excel
Oh,
in just
you're
being
bad at that.
kind and like good at performance, I also think you would be pretty rough at like you
Deception.
wouldn't want to
I'm
deceive. You wouldn't
terrible at-
want to intimidate. So I'd put that like you'd be like a 12.
I don't lie too often because I'm bad at it. If I could get away with it,
You still wouldn't do it.
I still probably wouldn't do it. I feel very guilty about it. But yeah.
I could intimidate for sure. I personally really don't like lying. It eats me up inside. But intimidating, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I could
you worked
destroy
You worked at a
someone with my
restaurant for
eyes.
years. You've
I
been
also
in
lived
it.
in Boston,
Oh yeah. There you go.
where men were like, "Hey, you fucking bitch." I'm like, "Come over here and say that to my face." I remember when the Boston
Okay, I'm going.
when the Boston came out, and my husband, we were just beginning to date, and he was like, "Oh my god, oh my god."
Like, let's go down to Cali's and get some roast beef. Get a lobster
Kelly's.
roll.
6'5"
see? I got
Belarusian was
you.
like,
I got
"Oh my
you.
God."
I got you. Yeah, don't even worry about it.
Kelly's is not my favorite place.
Yeah, but they got roast beef.
They have so much roast
I'm
beef.
so curious.
of it.
I'm now very curious for people to write out our stats. Write them out and write out what our spells would be too. And our
Ooh,
abilities.
yeah. Write out what our spells would be. I'm excited about that.
Greater dipshit.
Dumbass.
Dumbass. It's a
Mom
level-
So
spell.
it'd be scream.
Yeah.
Mine would be scream.
Summon mommy.
Summon. Call my mom.
Call me mom. Should I do myself or do you want to?
Go ahead. I want to hear what you think, man.
I could give you some, but
you are
know.
the DM. We should have thrown the question at you.
Yeah.
That's okay. Too late now. Why don't you guys judge me?
Okay. Well, it worked out really well with me and Shayne. Let's see. I think intelligence 100% over wisdom.
Okay.
Dexterity is what? How you?
Just being dodgy and able to like accurately pinpoint
I
things.
think
and-
I'd
No.
say your dexterity wouldn't be bad though because your
wouldn't be
reflexes
bad.
are crazy.
It wouldn't be
thank you.
bad. I feel like your charisma. I struggle with that because it's like deception.
A lot of people struggle with me.
I don't know about deception, but you also can convince people. You're very convincing the way that you present yourself and how you present like a subject or something.
I think it's relatively
charisma's
good.
pretty good.
What's
the other one? Constitution.
Constitution? I think would be very high.
What's Constitution
Really?
again?
Actually,
Constitution is like
Oh,
how many
which-
hits you can take, basically. But people are like, can you survive a rotten tomato? But really, it's it's can you take a beating?
actually, though, I
I
don't
think
know about
Constitution's
Constitution.
medium.
I think my Constitution would be pretty low, actually. Just because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
fine now, but I used to have a lot of stomach issues, and I don't drink. And whenever I did, I'd be like, my stomach hurts, and
So you'd be
Who
sitting
has
on
the
toilet
highest
for a while.
constitution out of everyone at Smosh?
Definitely not me. I have a weak stomach. I am on
Angela or
the toilet.
Chance? Chance maybe has high constitution.
If it's a matter of taking physical
Chance.
hits, I think I'm pretty good constitution-wise. But if it's a matter of like surviving yuckiness and just getting back up, I think chance.
Or Angela.
Maybe maybe in both.
She's she can get up.
Or Keith. Keith did have a cancerous tumor and still would like come here and go crazy.
I
That's
know.
true.
That guy-
He's pretty resilient.
I
That guy
know.
just can't be stopped.
He cannot be stopped.
Because I think any one of us in his situation would have been down for the count.
Yeah, I would have been like, I have to stay home today on account of the
tired.
cancer.
I don't know though. I'm pretty like stubborn when it comes to being sick. Like I'll like, because when I was little, my mom was like, unless you are vomiting and we have to go to the ER, you are going to school.
Which is great for the other kids. I love that.
It was not. I barely got to stay home when I was sick.
A tummy ache, I can kind of power through. If my head hurts in the slightest, I am done for the day. I luckily don't get headaches. I'm very grateful for it. But whenever I get the slightest headache, I'm dead.
So his constitution's low.
I think we both
got a
have lower
low-
constitution.
Little baby.
Little tummy ache.
I would put myself at like very average strength. Dexterity maybe a little higher than that because of the reflex thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Constitution like medium to medium low.
Yeah.
Intelligence, thank you. I'd like to say a little higher. Wisdom a little lower than that. And then charisma probably like medium high. So I'm good from the back lines being like, you got this. Like,
And I guess I don't know, in the front lines, just intimidating.
I think you are. I think we talked about your intelligence being high. You've got good charisma and you've got
My
good
wisdom is
constitution.
higher than intelligence, though.
I would also
I
say
agree.
that.
Like if someone gave me a flashcard of math problems, I'd be like, I'm fucking out.
Well, that's why then like everything that you've chosen, like you're a warlock. They cast using charisma, and I think that's really
Thick
smart.
thighs.
And I do think proficiencies wise, obviously, you know, what is it in this world? But arcane, like I'd say out of everyone, if anyone at Smosh turned out to be dabbling in the magical arts, it would be you.
I think so.
Nobody else on the cast.
I think so.
Maybe you.
And that is why I wanted to announce that I am a witch.
Oh,
Nice.
great.
Nice.
Huge announcement here
Yay.
on Smosh Mouth.
Yay.
Last quick thing I wanted to talk about. I just think it's fun to dream.
Dreams.
Dude, what are the like just friggin' shot in the dark or just shoot for the moon? What's something you dream about doing on the Smosh Games channel? Because I think about that a lot.
Are we
You know what I was
gonna
thinking
do
about this
the
morning? We don't have time for that. I was
shoot.
gonna pitch, unless you want to.
No, it's okay.
I was
Just
gonna-
stayed up real late working it, and it's fine.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Shot in the dark.
Oh, okay. Really quick. What would be your dream things to do on the Smosh Games channel? Because I was thinking today, and maybe we could do this. What if you and I sat down with Amanda? We gave her a controller, and we tried to help her guide her to beating the first boss in Dark Souls.
I think you could do it.
That sounds great.
Yeah?
I would love
even
to
know
get
what I
to
just
Dark
said?
Souls.
It's my
I'd
favorite.
love to.
It's where this ring is from.
Really?
Yeah, it's very meaningful to me. It's very meaningful to me.
I would love that. I think that would be f***ing hilarious. And I think
Okay.
I'd be pretty good. I just need a little guidance, a little structure.
And we could take our time. We could just figure it out. We could do it.
I would love that. I think that
That'd
sounds
be
I
great.
fun.
and
love
I'm
Dark Souls
down.
so much. It's got perfect game design. It's so difficult, but like with a purpose, and you feel so like accomplished when you finally get past anything.
Ooh.
And I love their way of storytelling in that, like, I'm just going to info dump here because it's my hyperfixation. Their way of storytelling is like, they don't tell very much, they show a lot. So a lot of people play and beat the game and they're like, I don't know what just happened. There's no story. And I'm like, you didn't look around. So like, it's the kind of thing where like, if you look at the world, like there might be like a dead body in the corner that is wearing like some armor, right? And you just get the armor and you're like, cool, I got that armor. But if you look at the descriptions of that armor, it'll tell you like, this was the armor of such and such person. And if you look at the positioning of the body, you'll see like there's a huge broken window, 3 stories up. And you're like,
So
oh my
you
God, that's
jumped
the way
in?
you have to get through that area. And it looks like they fell when they did that. So, oh my God, this person fell. And wait a minute, I actually met them earlier in the game. So that's the end of their story. I wonder if there's a way I could have saved them. Like, it's that kind of thing. You have to be curious.
I love that.
Isn't that
Cool.
great?
It's a very
I
cool
think I
game.
just like didn't have this in front of me. Like I grew up with all sisters.
Sure.
My little sister was on The Sims forever. I think she has like 17 houses in The Sims.
Well, alternatively,
And
my sister
so-
was the one who was into Final Fantasy, and that's what got me into like
Oh wow.
RPG games.
So I never really. I watched 90210 with my older sisters.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna turn you into a huge nerd.
I can't wait.
I'm stoked.
I'm
That's
so
the
down.
plan.
Let's
we
do
will
it.
Mold you in our image. You
Oh
are
my
already
God.
enough. What if you could be more?
Finally, my husband will love me, and I'll be able to play Diablo.
Honestly, I will say, as someone who's
Babe?
like, I grew up with video games, like, whether it's a parent spending that time with you or whether it's a partner spending that time with you, anyone who you wouldn't expect to fall into this, because we were sort of taught that, like, nerdiness in video games if that is something you enjoyed growing up, it's like, that's a weird thing. No one's going to be into that. To have someone you care about in your life be like, I'm interested in that thing. I would love to spend some time with you doing that thing. It's really special.
No,
It's really
I
nice.
love
So
it.
I'm
We
glad
played
that
Age of Empires for hours.
That's
Hell
so
yeah.
cool.
And I loved it. And I fed all of my people and created farms. And
To what?
he just built castles around me to attack.
Yeah.
So it's great.
That's what happens. But that's Age of Empires for you.
That's Age of Empires for you.
Well, Damien, any dreams for Smosh games?
Man, we're doing it. D&D is some of the most fun I've ever had. I really love where we're at with Smosh now, where like we have so much opportunity to play and explore past what we've done before. There's something to be said for holding on to things that have worked for us in the past, and I'm glad that we continue to do that and find more iterations. But they used to be all we did. And if we tried something and it wouldn't work out, for a week, we'd be like, oh, that's less views. We'd be like, scrap the whole thing. So I'm like so proud that Legacy worked out and was able to open the door to D&D. And now I'm like, who knows where we go from here? Like, I don't know how long this first season is going to be. I don't know if we're going to get another one. But what I would love is to do more D&D content.
Hell yeah.
Switch up the cast, add people. At
No.
a certain point, switch up.
Don't.
Get Amanda out of there with her fake nerd ass.
Absolutely not.
Switch up the DMs, like switch up the settings and locations. I was talking to other people in Smosh before, and they were like, "Oh,
Can we play outside
not
in
at
the
all what I
forest?
meant. No, I'm allergic to the
Greg,
sun,
our
Amanda.
sound guy's like, no.
I'm literally allergic to the
On
sun.
the highway. Okay.
I have to go get my shot right after this. No, I mean there's D&D modules that take place in space. There are ones that we can make that seem more Wild West. There's stuff that you're talking about, like why not make it a small town murder? Like there's so many stories to be told and so many fun characters to meet, and I'm excited to be pursuing this for years to come. Half my job now is like going through old footage and writing down every point of interest that can be said. Like if someone picks up something and holds on to it, I'm like, I'm going to pay that off 4 episodes later. If someone says something like just offhanded as a joke, I'm like, oh, that's part of your backstory now. Like how many things did I, pitch to you in that, coaching thing where I'm like, hey, just remember, you said this one time. What if it relates to your backstory in this way? We don't have to pay it off. It will be cool if we do. Like,
I remember my purse dragging on the floor, and I was like, how did I forget that?
that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Huge.
Huge.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about D&D. I love it. I'd also love to know in the comments like where you would want D&D to go, like different campaigns, like different genres.
Don't tell us what to do.
But tell us your ideas.
Tell us what to do.
And so right now, I believe Dungeons & Dragons is now coming out every week, or it's about to, it just started. I'm not entirely sure. But if you haven't checked it out, seriously, go check it out. It's some of the most fun that we're having. I want to keep doing it.
Me too.
Forever.
Me too.
For sure. And thank you, Damien, for being here, man.
Hey,
Thanks, Damien.
thanks y'all. Appreciate you.
It's pretty sick.
Hey, stay fresh.
Yeah.
If you
Shayne, where can
had,
we find you? What's up?
if you had to name one character right now and it was a druid, what would the name be?
Fernie.
What?
What?
Incorrect.
So wrong.
Thanks, guys. That was Smosh Mouth.
Yeah. Get out.
Bye.
Ha, man. Time to sleep.
Pikachu.
And then it just comes up and what if you wake up and there's a Mr. Mime just looming over you? It's like he was watching you sleep this whole time.
Hello, Wattpad. Reader X Mr. Mine, parentheses, smut.
Hell yeah.
I really hope that you get to sleep, and I wish that. Yeah, I don't know. That's all.
Mom!
I know. I do it to myself.
Hey.
I walk into the mom role all the time.
Tell you what though, I really appreciate, because like right before we started this, Amanda, you know those like plastic baggies that are way too small? It was full of goldfish, and then she had another one of Cheerios. She said, I get to pick. And
I chose goldfish because you guys are men. And Cheerios are for babies.